No human should be buried here. Exhuma comes to us from writer director Jae-hoon Jang, who's done some South Korean horror projects in the past. Check out his IMDb page for the full list of his work. This is set in South Korea with an almost entirely sans one character South Korean cast and revolves around four main characters who basically have a camaraderie among each other, and they're there for each other, and they decide to be there for each other during an excavation / exhuming process of a body that's buried in an unmarked grave atop a mountain. And you kind of wonder why somebody would be buried up there. That's really goddamn strange. But the people that buried him, the family, they're very, very rich. And they're going to make these four all wealthy people in the world if they'll just unearth the body. They won't open the casket. Can't open the casket. You don't want to do that. Dun, dun, dun! And don't do that, and make sure that everything's taken care of and give him the proper sending into the afterlife, and you will be rich. Again, don't open the casket. Well, yeah, obviously since it's a horror movie, bad things happen, and horrific consequences fall at the feet and, really just fall all over these four particular people and anybody in the periphery, because let's just say, horror is something that the South Koreans absolutely specialize in. I mean, one of my favorite horror movies of the last 20 years, The Host, one of the greatest monster movies ever fucking made. I don't know if it quite matches the iconic, I'll say iconic opening sequence, but my God, it is so fucking good. This movie is so well paced. A goddamn knockout monster movie. Fucking tremendous. I absolutely love The Host. So, a bit of background. I knew nothing about this movie beyond what I read on the IMDb page. I looked at the poster. I recognized a couple of the actors, but couldn't quite place. I know one was in that Space Sweepers movie that I haven't checked out yet. But basically, I love me a good horror movie, and it's rare that I don't know anything about any particular movie before I decide to sit down and watch it. So after working 9 hours, I decided to drive about 25 miles to a theater. Got there just in time. 2 trailers left. Managed to just get seated. And then realized, holy fucking shit, this theater is really, really packed. And it was a heavy Korean audience, but you know what? That's good, because maybe they were going to get something out of it that I wouldn't get out of it, because obviously when it comes to South Korean culture, I know jack shit. And there are examples of South Korean culture and history and themes and everything that really can translate to an American fan. Somebody that appreciates foreign horror, but doesn't know something about the particular culture. And that is one thing that the writer-director does a really good job of. Now I'm going to talk about the cast. And if I screw up the names, I do really apologize. There is the main character I'm going to call H, but that's Hwarin. She's Kim Go-hoon, and she is gorgeous. Good goddamn Christ, she is gorgeous. She teams up with a character named Bong. Gil is his last name. I kept thinking of a South Korean Gil, and that just made me laugh from, Gil from The Simpsons. But he's played by Lee Do-hwan. And they're kind of yin and yang. She could yin my yang. Never mind that. Let's move on. They basically are a yin and yang package in the sense they help people when they are haunted by spirits. And, H can see a lot of things, and Bong also is very in tune with the spirit world. He can see things, and they work well together. They know Kim Sang-deok. I assume that's how you say it. He's played by an actor, first name is Choi. He's a geomancer who basically finds good plots of land to bury people in. No bad land, no bad dirt. He even tastes the dirt, and if it's good dirt, then he will move a body from a particular plot to there, and they will have a good path into the afterlife. He also has an assistant / friend, Ko Young-gwen, who, again, probably butchering this right here, Yo Hae Jin. He is kind of the nerdy type, but also does have, a lot to offer. And these are the 4 main characters. There are others in the periphery. But really, it is just centered around those 4, and has chapter breaks and everything. And thankfully, subtitles, because I would have been totally goddamn lost. That's the one thing. Don't look down at your phone during this unless you understand Korean, because you're going to be totally goddamn lost. You need to pay attention to this thing. You need to just take it all in. And speaking of taking it all in, I want to take in this movie again. I may actually watch this again on a streaming service. I may buy this on Blu-ray if it gets an American release, because this is one of the best goddamn horror movies I have seen in quite a while. What a fucking goddamn shock in the best way possible. It's like when I saw When Evil Lurks, and how When Evil Lurks was so goddamn good. That movie held nothing back. This movie really decides when it wants to go full bore, it really does. And it is creepy. It is atmospheric. It really does have some very good acting. You care about the characters. And there's just enough history that you find out as the thing goes on, and it peels layers back and peels layers back. And just when you think it's going one way, it suddenly has a shift where, oh, you thought this is it. Oh, no. We got more for you. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes. It just flies by. It is so well paced. It is so well filmed. I need to check out more what the writer or the director did, because he really fucking nailed it here. Now, sure, when it comes to movies like this, with this kind of theme, there are similarities to other horror movies. You know, The Wailing and a few others. I need to go back and rewatch The Wailing. But there's just some nice, nice tweaking of, familiar stuff where it works. It so works. I mean, paying attention is key, and it really has some great shots where you see stuff in the background, and then suddenly it's right there. And makeup effects are really good. Gore effects are really good. You get to where you're not actually sure what's going to happen, if anybody is going to survive or not. And it even throws a little bit of history in there to tie everything together, and it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. It's weird. It's bizarre. Every time I look around, there's exhuming in my face. Which means I probably need to stop hanging out with grave diggers. But, yeah. As great as this is, what I just really appreciated about it was the human aspect of it. Because it had a really hopeless and dark feel to it for a majority of the movie. There was that foreboding, hanging, just feeling of dread, and it was great. Please watch this in theaters if you can. It's only getting a limited release. I was actually very surprised that the theater is playing it that close to me. And I'm amazed I got there in time, because Washington traffic is absolute shit on Saturdays. But great performances. From beginning to end, it just builds and builds and builds. Give you some mountains and valley moments. But when it wants to amp up the violence, it does. And the camera work is really, really nice. Great. Just great pacing overall. I really, really appreciate how well crafted this movie was. I can see some of the issues that the critics had. It still has a pretty high score. But this is really, really goddamn good. Now, there are people that said it could have been scarier. There was a girl next to me that was absolutely freaking out. It was absolutely hilarious. But, I mean, I'm a connoisseur of horror, or a carnivore of horror. Check it out in theaters if you want to. 3, 2, 1, spoilers! So, let's just get into that. So, basically, in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre once said. We see examples of H and Bong, H-Bong, who are working their magic. We see how Kim and Co., which just sounds like a freaking, South Korean buddy cop comedy, how they're working on grave sites and that kind of stuff, and helping, honor the people, move them on into the next life. There actually was this one part where they did that with a grave, and a boy, wanted to remember his grandmother, so he took her teeth, something to remember her by. She had to be reunited with her teeth, make her whole, and that way she could pass on. And there's a human part of this whole, just a great aspect to it. And what I really, really liked was once they established what Kim and Co. do, they started to build this, and then this rich family in the States is having issues because they're being haunted by a whole bunch of, creepy shit and everything. There's something overlording them, just making them sick, making, they got a newborn kid who has this curse passed on to him, and you have to wonder, what about this curse? They find out more about the family as time goes on. So they're going to unearth, they get this idea to do this excavation. It's on this mountain. This grave has longitude and latitude markings. Bit weird that, but okay. It's an unmarked grave, and there's the person buried there. They dig it. But they do this weird ritual. And I say weird, and I'm not knocking South Korean rituals. I just don't know anything about it. But they do this like purification thing. They're throwing salt, doing all this stuff. She's, H is doing this great fan dance. Man, have I mentioned she's fucking gorgeous, by the way? Absolutely fucking captivating. She does this. They're doing this drum stuff. I don't know where the hell they got all that and where they brought it from, but whatever. It looks cool. Salt purification, all that. They get the casket. Can't open it. Don't open it. Don't open it, you get paid. Well, naturally, Ko pays off a guy to watch over it at the funeral home, and he opens it. There's an evil in there. Oh no, there's an evil in there. This evil that has been overlording this family. This evil that is the father, well, the grandfather, and has ties to something else that happens a little bit later. And what is nice is they have him haunting. You have to open the window. He kills, he feasts. There's this great shot of this one family member that's in a wheelchair. And the guy is eating. The guy is, the entity is eating and doing all this crazy stuff. And a little bit earlier, during that ritual, they did something to kind of get the evil into something, other than the body. Put it in the corpses of pigs. Why? I don't know. I don't get it, but it looked cool. And it looked great. All the slashing and all the wiping the blood on the face and all that, and it's nuts. And then, this father just basically goes absolutely insane. This ghostly father, he kills his family, and he's trying to kill the baby. He's trying to don't kill the baby. But they managed to just put his casket in, and burn it. And it's right after they did this really, really great scene with, like, this one character, Park, who was on the phone with somebody, and then Kim is trying to get in to the apartment, but the person on the phone is like, no, I'm Kim, that's somebody else, and it turns out it was reversed. That was the entity on there, and it was a great scene in the hotel, but they burned the casket, and the father fades away. They burned it, they burned his body, that's it, they cremated him. So it's over, except it's not, because there was something a lot more evil buried under there. And what was it? It was an evil Japanese general that's now a ghost that is just almost, it's like Giant from the Unknown. If Giant from the Unknown was actually done well and insane. He appears. Why did Shogun General suddenly appear over here, over there? He's got the helmet and everything. And there's a reference to elements. There's a reference to all this stuff. It's just an amalgamation and an insane collection of all this stuff. That's the greater evil that was buried. They buried him on top of that. That's why they had the longitude and latitude stuff to mark where his grave was. But they didn't want to say whose grave it was, because then somebody would try to unearth it. And they did. And then he got unearthed. And now he is just killing. He is just killing indiscriminately. There's this temple where there was this monk that actually did, that actually was doing some great work. But this monk also had an elder, so to speak. And the elder actually turned out to be this Japanese general ghost that turns into fire and spins around, that kind of stuff, and flies around. Guess that's how he teleports. Again, don't know anything about Korean culture. But when they show the Shogun ghost, I'm just going to call him that, he looks pretty goddamn vicious. And he's killing pigs at one point. He kills somebody in the goddamn barn of the temple. And then he badly damages Bong when Bong tries to stop, H from getting killed. And she's having connections with all this stuff, all this spiritual stuff going on. It's insane. And why is he? Because he was this greater evil. He's unearthed, and now he is going to attack, and he's going to be relentless. And it's impossible to stop him. Except it's not. And I'm kind of giving an overview here because it's really hard to describe this movie unless you see it. But the feeling of hopelessness and sadness, like in the fact that Bong, even though he's injured, is possessed by this particular creature. And then H calls upon friends to help her. I assume her mother and younger sister are friends. I don't actually know. There's also just the nutty part of this is while they're in the hospital, you have Kim and Ko. They're trying to unearth this thing, figure this out with the grave. And yeah, it turns out that the general Shogun ghost is actually sleeping there. And the idea is you have to find its weak point. And there was this talk of elements that clash, elements are stronger than other. And you had to figure out like what the hell's going on. The fire has to mean something. What it means is you have to consume it you basically find an element stronger, beat it with that, and find a way for the fire to consume him. Something like that. You have to find something that will damage it. And it turns out that Kim knows quite a bit about, particular element and, being a geomancer, all that. It's taking its toll on him. So they come up with this plan, even though Bong is in the hospital. He's being taken care of. The mother character and the girl are about to sacrifice a goddamn rooster while they're looking for this spike, because there were these tools that were used by particular guys, like these weird metal rods or whatever the hell it was. This did not look like a metal rod at all. And the idea was they were burying that whole thing. They were burying that guy, trying to get rid of him, because he's such an ancient evil. Well, then he's summoned, and he's like, wondering why there aren't bayonets and all this stuff going on, because he didn't realize he's been asleep for like 100 years. And H tries to basically do, something where she does a ritual. She has writing on her face, Buddhist writing. I think it's Buddhist. It's like Hakushi. That's a deep cut for wrestling fans. Bong had tattoos that were not touched. The writing is the key. You have to do something. You have to distract him. She does this ritual with this tree that's really goddamn creative, and basically pretends to be a god and does it shrouded in mystery, but he does the same thing he did a little bit earlier when she pretended to be a servant. And then, are you a human? Oh, a human. And really sizable and scary, by the way. Meanwhile, Kim and Co are trying to find the iron. They're trying to find this iron, and they're going to get this horse blood, which apparently kills it. I don't know why white horse blood kills it, but they're going to do that. Well, then Co runs off, finds H, and then Kim basically gets, beaten up and his liver taken out and everything, while Bong is like, possessed by him. It's insane. It sounds like I'm describing this plot badly, but really it's just an overview, because it's really something you have to experience. And then Kim realizes, hey, wait a second. They all see how this General Shogun was buried. They managed to put his sword inside of him. There was this sword sheath, this wood sword that they have, that they have in certain cultures. And being the Japanese, Korean, like dichotomy, the history there, that's really the scary thing, because, South Korea, the Koreans don't like Japan very much because of the imperialistic rule and all that. So, that's a nice little theme there. But he realizes, hey, wait a second, there's this, with all these names on there, all these names of all these people from history. And he takes this, wet wood is stronger than iron, because it won't break. Stabs him in the foot, and he starts to melt, and Bong's starting to come back to life. He starts beating him and just, cracking him and everything. And he's just killing him. And you find an element stronger than that. And this is while his liver, by the way, was almost ripped out. I don't know how the hell he survived that. But, they somehow managed to get him back to the hospital. He's okay. Bong is recovering. The General Shogun is dead. Oh, yes, and also Kim had a daughter that was in Germany that married a guy. And he was there for the wedding. And also, they're still having after effects and everything. And, it was very weird. It was very bizarre. But Exhuma, however the hell you say it, was very, very fucking good. A+. I probably described that movie really badly, but you know what? It was worth it. Please check this out. It is really, really fucking good. For those that have seen it, how much did I butcher of the story? How much did I butcher of the names? If you are Korean, please let me know. And please know that I tried. I really tried. A+, though. Great horror effects. Great stuff. I fucking loved it. One of my favorite movies of the year. Agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.